Welcome to Joy Live. It promises to be a very exciting episode today. I'm starting with smiles, not just because of my guests, but because of what we are going to be discussing today. Some days before, Nigerians and globally really have been celebrating the 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. It is an international campaign that kicks off every 25th of November. The International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women. It runs all through to December the 10th, which is the Human Rights Day. It culminates to that day. This campaign is to put a spotlight on the many people who suffer domestic violence, how they too can seek help, access help if available, and also deter those who might or have been perpetrating this very serious and heinous I'm not sure how to put it now, heinous activities. Now, when we talk about gender-based violence, a lot of people do not know that when we talk gender, we talk about both sexes. Well, we have so much to unbundle on today's episode of Joy Live, and of course, who best do justice to this than the he for she himself? I think you're the he for she's of all the he for she's.
I know, I'm the number one
he for she. I'm talking about Ifeanyi Ofodu Raymond. He's a women and youth advocate. He's a UNICEF ambassador as well. Thank you so much for being part of Joy Live today, especially to talk about something so important.
Thank you so much for having me again. And I'm happy to be here, and it's always wonderful because we always have a lot to discuss about.
There's so much to discuss, but let's talk about your orange color. I know orange represents women.
Yes.
Right. So
this orange, I was happy. I intentionally had to wear it.
I am happy you did.
Yes, so that everyone will know what today stands for. Today is part of the 16 days of activism, and orange signifies action. So orange is the color for 16 days of activism, which started, like you mentioned, since 25th of November, and is ending on the 10th of December, which is on Sunday. So, like, you can see my clothes, even you can see my cap. It says end GBV. So this signifies the action that we are taking, what we want out there, how important the 16 days of activism is for both male and female. Because when we talk about, like you said, gender-based violence is not only for the women, but also for the men.
Right.
So we are here to discuss about it. And orange is the color that says enough is enough. So
right, Ifeanyi, I mean, a lot of times we've done this over and over. So many times we are trying to advocate against it, and in fact, you must appreciate, especially the CSOs and NGOs around that space. They don't have a break. It seems like it's constantly. Let's stop violence against women, especially, who are often very susceptible to the violence and harassment and molestation. What is different about this year's celebration?
Well, this year's celebration, it shows that we are now fully involved.
Right.
Everybody now hears the cry. People are now even waiting towards it. People that even had no interest when it comes to 16 days of activism, when it comes to gender-based violence fight, are now involved, are now having activities around it, and now building their programs around it to make sure that they include the voices of these vulnerable women and children. And there's something very important for us to note, is that consistency is the key. Because once you stop talking about anything, especially in this country, Nigeria, it gradually fades away. People gradually forget about that case.
Exactly.
But while UN initiated the 16 days of activism, is for us to see that we constantly, every year, come together for 16 days to ensure that we eliminate harmful practices, no matter how small, no matter how huge we do it. But so far the conversation around this is happening for that 16 days. It is something that we can take home. And like this 16 days is an opportunity for us to remember the victims that have been affected by gender-based violence, and also for people that are currently living in such situations to come forward and kind of speak out, have your voices heard, because the world and even your country is ready to hear from you.
Now let's talk about reporting, which is a very huge part of gathering data for those who, like you say, have probably gone through this and need help. Some whom, as we speak, with the dire statistics that we have, are probably about to get through this heinous things that happen. However, would you say that this is 2023? We are doing better in reporting. We're having more people able and not afraid any longer of the stereotypes that often comes with it, able to come out and say, this person did this to me. I have suffered this, and to help with the data so that we can get to have a better coordinated action against it.
Yes, absolutely. I would say that we have improved in the reporting mechanism. And like you remember, there was some time on Twitter where it trended really. Everybody had to talk about those that raped them. So people started calling people out. That is trends. That is breaking the barriers. And that is, Nigerian youth especially is a kind of youth generation that like doing what others are doing. So when they see others taking action, when they see others reporting this, then they can come up and now fight for themselves. So it is very important for us to know that people have started coming up. People have started saying, this is what this person did to me, although it's not to the extent that we need, because there is still the problem of who did this to you. Do you want to bring shame to your family if it is an inside person? So some people still bottle up their reporting stuff, but a lot of people have started saying, oh, see, to hell with this, I have to report this, I have to speak out. And even in our data, even at the Ministry of Women Affairs data, it shows that a lot of people have started coming out, people are reporting. So what we are fighting for is to see that there is prosecution, that those that have reported, that the police and the justice system follows up with this report and get justice for the victims. Okay,
so, let's I'm happy you mentioned the instance where it was beginning to trend, where people were, but it also concerned me that in spite of the advocacy and the awareness around reporting, there was a backlash. Some who came out, and I remember some time ago when somebody called out a religious leader who a lot of people revered, and this person said, this is what happened to me, and I was a minor when it happened. This person did this to me. Unfortunately, you see the religious connotation to this, and people trying to water it down and even victimize the victim. So how does it also concern you that while the social media has become a tool to disseminate disinformation and create awareness and give people a good space, it's also a place where a lot of people have suffered so much bullying and victimization?
Yes, that is true. And this concept of my fave, even when you look at different celebrities and they do something wrong, their fans tend to support them
viciously, I must say,
regardless of the consequences and the effect of what they have done. So that is something that even apart from the social media, even within physical presence and even within families, communities happen. Because when you, for example, tend to accuse a village chief that he did this to you or something like that, you tend to see the council of elders supporting the chief without actually investigating because of the influence that person holds. So that is a concept that we need to stop, a concept that we need to fight against. Victims must get justice no matter who or where it happened. And even if you're a religious leader, like the concept you brought about, and it was between someone powerful in the society and a religious leader. So people that we are saying it is church-like, Christ-like, he couldn't have done this. That is the sentiment that we have in our public. People need to put away whatever they feel about somebody and critically analyze any accusation against somebody. Know the truth. Is this really true? Because when you are clouded by sentiment, when you are clouded by probably that person has done something for you, it takes your sense of judgment out. And this is something that is affecting us, because when such things happen, other victims will be scared. Oh,
I don't want this kind of backlash.
He's my uncle. What will people say? Let me not speak. Let me not talk. Before they say, hey, I'm wrong. But that's wrong. Once a victim is a victim, and whoever that did that should be brought to book, no matter who you are. So we want to encourage people. We want to keep advocating. Please speak out.
Right.
No matter if the person is a president, no matter if the person is a very powerful religious leader,
right,
speak out. Let people know that this person has done such a thing. I remember in every, even if they say in every accusation or false accusation, there's an atom of truth,
right,
attached to it. So we have to put this aside and look at the case. Look at the case, what actually happened, so that we can stop that from happening from other important people.
Well, there's also that report. Speaking about the report, I was happy, really happy, when I saw that a report also about 340 men reported being being violated by their wives or spouses in just 2023. That I wasn't happy that this happened to men. I was just happy that they were able to come out to report, because very often the men are, of course, the society hasn't been necessarily very fair to men. So men usually are not quick to report because, oh, you man up, oh, are you serious? You want to come talk about this and all of that. But how did that make you feel? 340 just in Lagos were able to report. And does it mean that in this society where a lot of women for a very long time have felt like victims are now becoming, unfortunately, perpetrators of the same thing we stand against?
You know, I'm also very happy and surprised that it's only even 340 that was able to come up.
I mean, reporting.
Yes,
those are the people who are
agreed. So when you look at the case, you see that there are more men that might be in this situation, and you know that masculinity part of men, that we tend to kind of hold, you know, our pride comes first. We don't want to look weak.
Exactly.
What would our neighbor and our fellow men say? They will even laugh at you when you mention such issues. They will say, your wife is beating you. Are
you not a man?
That's the most. So when you think as a man, when you think about all those things, you will not hold it back to yourself and keep enduring, and it is wrong. Because I will tell you something. In as much as it is women that are mostly, you know, affected by gender-based violence, then the few number of men that are affected, it is even more there, and it's even more of a consequence to the man. Because when a man bottles up this kind of violence, and when it comes to emotional violence, when it comes to something to do with your mental health, it's even more bad to the society. Because the man takes it out. It affects his daily income earning. It affects his way of relationship with others. He's always aggressive. He's always unhappy. And that can lead to death. That can lead to serious depression.
Right.
You see, the man will just say, oh, it's better I die. Why should I even live? So these are the things that we need to consider. These are the things that we need to stop. Men should keep coming out, speaking out, and you have equal right to report your wife if you are being hurt. There is no shame in it. This is actually your well-being. This is actually your life. And when we keep on neglecting this, people now start screaming when the consequences is there. So I think as a generation, as a country, and as citizens of Nigeria, we should start looking out for one another. Because if your neighbor is a man and you know that this is happening to them, and your neighbor doesn't have the courage to come out and report, be the voice of your neighbor.
Right.
Be the one that will help your neighbor. Report on his behalf. Try a way to stop it. Because sometimes violence is really a very serious thing. Because I've heard cases and stories of somebody that is constantly in a violent and abusive marriage, and before you know it, 2-3 years, the person dies. It happens. And you know the absolute end is death. So once the person is gone, that's it. No matter what you are doing.
Exactly.
So I think I encourage more men to come up, and 340 is small when it comes to the whole Nigeria. So they should keep coming up. Then if you are too ashamed to report as a man, use indirect way through somebody. Confide in somebody that you can trust, even if it's not your fellow man. Look for a female friend that you can talk to that will help you bring this out there.
Right.
And it's always better that way. You stay anonymous and your female friend helps you report, your wife gets questioned, and you start getting a solution.
Oh, are there cases like that where you could stay anonymous and say, you know what, I know somebody who's going through this and all of that, without necessarily showing your face?
Yes, absolutely. And even in some communities, that's what happens. Like some women, they are too scared to report their husband. They are too scared to confront the police about what their husband is doing to them. They will go through their best friends. They will go through their friends, report to the gender responsive unit, and they will now visit their house and say that neighbors are complaining.
These gender responsive units are in police station.
Yes, they are in police stations. They are even in ministries of affairs, like in states. Even all ministries of women affairs have a gender responsive unit, and they should be functioning because they have a toll line that you can call, and it's something that helps women out there. So when you cannot report directly, when you feel that if you report directly your husband is gonna kill you or the problem is gonna get worse,
right?
Yes, you go through the corners. You know, there was something I saw, they are saying don't go through the corners, talk to me direct. But in this case, you can go through the corners.
Go through corners.
Yes,
Right,
go
just
through the
so
corners.
that I don't escalate it for your life's
Yes, for
sake.
your life's sake or your children's sake. So go through the corners, talk to someone, talk to your best friend, please help me, invite the police, invite this. This is the time that this happens. Tell them to come at this time. Even if they don't come, let them just visit us and tell them that you people have been hearing us. Let them come and talk to my husband, that if he doesn't stop, this and this will happen. That way she can boldly speak to the police, knowing that it's not her that called them.
Right.
So these are the things that can help women reporting cases.
Okay, Ifeanyi, it's time to go for a short break. When we return, we'll still be talking about this reporting. Should we learn better ways to start our advocacy so that the men do not feel like they are victims all the time and it hinders reporting? And then we'll also go into the women themselves. Are they also always ready to report? And in that cases, people like Raymond, what can you do? We'll be right back after this short break. This is still Joy Asonye Live. Welcome back from that. In the studio with me right now discussing gender-based violence and there's 16 days activism against gender-based violence is Ifeanyi Ofodu Raymond. He's a diplomat, and historian, that's by degree. He's also an advocate recognized by UNICEF and African Union in ending child marriage and harmful practices. He has also done a lot when it comes to that female genital mutilation. There's so much to this man that's sitting right here. I can go on and on, but we do not have the time. Ifeanyi, is wonderful to still have you be with us to discuss this very important issue. But we've taken the conversation now to another important one, which is, are the women positioning themselves sometimes for this help? Because a lot of them are dependent economically on their spouses, who often perpetrate this on them. So in that case, what do you do when I am afraid that you're getting me exposed, you're getting me out there with no source of income, when this is our breadwinner, so to speak?
You know, this stuff you said is something that is the major problem. Because when you look at financial abuse, that is when somebody restricts you from money, maltreats you because the person knows that you don't have any access to income. So they use that to kind of keep punishing you. But that is bad. Because one, when it comes to gender-based violence, and as women, you see your husband is abusing you constantly and you are neglecting it. Oh, he's going to stop. He's going to change. He's going to do this thing. Look at Osinachi. She's dead. She might be thinking that one day you have a change of heart.
Right.
That hatred, whenever a man beats you, that hatred has been poured in him. That love is no more there.
Exactly.
He's now seeing you as an enemy. That's why he raises his fingers on you. And when that happens, what you should think of is my life. My life first. That is why I think I must really say to the Minister of Women Affairs, Barrister Jo Ohaneye Kennedy, she's really fighting so hard to see that women are empowered, so that when such cases happen, what do? You leave, because you are already stable. You have your source of income. You have a way out. You have something to do. Because some people keep staying in this marriage because they have no other means of livelihood, like you said. And when that happens, it becomes a problem, because now when I leave, will I be on the streets?
Right.
Who will help me? What should I do? But initially or legally, it should be the responsibility of the government to harbor and take in such women. There was a movie I was watching, and it was depicting, showing the cases in US, how victims of gender-based violence survive. They have a shelter. There is a shelter built for them, that when they come out, they go to the shelter, they find them a petty trade business, they start earning with their children and keep surviving. To show you that you can do without the man. Marriage is actually something that should be born out of love.
Exactly.
Marriage should be something that two partners come together, we love each other. Nobody should be a slave for the other. Nobody should be in constant pain for the other. So these are the things that women need to understand. You have to step out. Find someone to help you. You will make it. Don't be too scared. People are too scared to step out and think that they cannot do it on their own. No, that is not the case. Move out and see. People are ready to help you. People are ready to watch you and hear your cases. If you don't know where to go, visit the ministry or the Commission of Women Affairs in your state. Report to them. Tell them that I'm out of my marriage because of sexual abuse. Do you have anything for me? Cry out. Don't always be. It's better than doing something than doing nothing. Do something and see if you have results, than staying indoors till you die. And that becomes your case.
Well, are there rehabilitations for these people? I mean, the men who perpetrate all of this. I know that a lot have asked, suggested counseling. Has it ever worked? Where I went for counseling. I went to see a therapist. I have had sessions here. But does it ever work? Or these are pathological violators?
Okay. So this can happen in two different scenarios. Sometimes when a man violates a woman, he might have anger issues. He couldn't control it. Then that happens. Then that is when counseling and therapy can help. So the counseling and therapy can only help when the man learns how to control his anger, when he learns how to control himself. So that is when you can say, oh, he went for counseling, that it has worked. He will never beat the wife again. So it's something that happens only once. But you see these ones that constantly beat their wives, or women that constantly beat their husband, this is something that I don't think counseling can help. This is something that you need to reassess, reevaluate why people are even together. Are we even meant to get married? Is it a forced marriage? Because you know sometimes this abuse happens because people are in forced marriages.
Exactly.
They never wanted to marry the man never wanted to marry the woman. So every morning when you wake up, you look at her, you give her one slap.
But is it still prevalent, that forced marriages in Nigeria?
Yes,
in Nigeria?
Yes, especially with parents.
Am I that naive?
It's happening, and I think it happens even more in the north. When parents come together, they say, oh, my son needs to marry your daughter. The other family will agree, so that the wealth will remain. Sometimes it's because of wealthy families. Sometimes it's because of, okay, we know each other for a very long time. Who else should my son or daughter marry?
Right.
So you guys might kick against it, but because you know that, oh, you need your family, you go ahead. And when you now stay I saw a marriage that lasted for 3 months. I was asking myself, they don't even know each other. They never even friended. They were never in a relationship. And you just enter into marriage, and when you now stay 1 week, you say, this one, I cannot stay with you. That is the problem.
Now, so what should the government do at this point? Because when you read statistics and you hear that 30 million Nigerian women and girls are experiencing gender-based violence in the country, You know, it's a lot. That's a lot of. I'm not good with mathematics. I should have told you the percentage when it comes to our overall number in the country. But that's a lot. 30 million Nigerian women and girls are facing.
I think for your mathematics, I will help you.
Right.
It shows that 3 out of 10 women are abused, are violated. So what that means is that when you see a gathering of women,
just count 3
out of 10.
Out of 10
is being abused or has experienced abusive relationship. Now the government is the mother of the nation.
Exactly.
The government is the one that is meant to help bring you all together, help you find solutions. You cannot help every single person.
That's true.
But you can provide the services and amenities and infrastructures that will make things easy. Because even if in the developed world, they have cases of gender-based violence. So you only can provide that amenities, services, that when that thing happens, you shift away. That is why I am so proud of the Minister of Women Affairs. I follow her up very well.
With all she's been doing.
Yes, she's even pushing for mobile court. That mobile court, Nigerians think is a small thing. It's not a small thing when it gets implemented. Because that mobile court means that you now have the access to direct justice. Once your husband do you bam, or anybody touches you, you go straight to the mobile court because it will be very accessible to you. You file report, they get the man arrested immediately, or they get justice for you immediately. So these are the things that the government can do. These are the kind of services the government can provide. Because when the services are available, people are more encouraged to speak out, to fight for their right. And remember, there is an also issue of policies and implementation.
Exactly.
Because once the governments are key in their policies of abuse, in their policies of violation, then people will become more scared when they see the sentences waiting for them when they commit such crimes. So these are the things that we really need to talk about more. And government also needs to understand that we need to do more. It's never enough, the ones that we're doing. We need to keep doing more because our population is increasing by the day. And when you bring the population in this, you realize that we have a lot of people to service.
Exactly.
We have a lot of things happening that are even not in the air. And let us also government has the responsibility of making these reporting systems easy for people, accessible to people. What are the platforms that they can report? What are the ways that they can reach out to you? And the response is also very key. How do we respond as a government? Do we have money? Do we have budgeting for shelters? Do we have budgeting for helping these gender-based victims? We need to put all this in place as government. So I advise the government. I keep advising the government every day. We need to keep acting. We need to keep fighting. We have a lot of people to help. And I pray that anything that we're doing will be successful, because it's not easy even as a government. Because when you look at it, you see that when you talk about 36 states plus the FCT is a very large one.
It is.
And when you come to those states, there are communities, people that don't have access to the internet, that can't even go to the police. How do we help those people? These are all strategies that we need to put in place to ensure that no one is left behind.
Exactly. That reminds me of our SDGs. No one is left behind. But let's go back to this reporting and the men in this. Should we pipe down a bit more? Because when I hear people advocate against gender-based violence, it seems like it's targeted against men. And I'm saying this because I've seen cases where men already feel like, I mean, we could be victims as well. Yes. And very often it's like, oh, you men are the bad ones and all of that. And so it also impedes the opportunity for them to come out and express themselves as well. That's one. Should we pipe down? Should it be a little more inclusive when we do this? Because I know feminist friends of mine who will go all out. It's like, oh my goodness, it's only us that could be victims in this. So in this advocacy, should it be more inclusive?
Yes, it should be very, very inclusive. And when we talk about he for she, that is why I'm here and wearing this clothes. Men should know that there is no shame in fighting for your right. There is absolutely no shame as a man to say that I am being abused and I need it to stop. And us, the CSOs, the media, every single one in this space,
Right.
speak out. When you are including the women, include the men.
Exactly.
Share best practices, share cases of men being violated by their women. It might be physical abuse, it might be emotional abuse, it might be sexual abuse. Men also face all those things.
Kind of.
So they should be included and make more ambassadors of he for she.
Right.
So that when you have groups of he for she men in every community, they can be able to come together and share cases happening to them in their marriage. We don't have such spaces. We have spaces for women groups that share.
Even the shelters very often I did a report they are all wired for women. Very rarely do you see shelters for men. Do the men really need shelters?
They need, because sometimes it's the woman that will chase you out of your house,
Right.
so you don't even know where you go. But although that is more prevalent in the Western world,
right.
when you say the Western world, when anything happens, it's you that the man that will leave.
Right.
But Nigeria, sometimes some men are chased out actually, but sometimes it's the women that always go. But men that are abused, they are the ones that go out. The women will tell them, oh yeah, pack your things and leave. So sometimes why the women don't chase them out but keep on abusing them is that they also provide financially. They pay the house rent. They are the ones that do all this. So you see that no matter the case, no matter the circumstances, men should be included in all round. So don't think that, oh, this one should be only women. No, men are also included.
Exactly. But now let's go to this whole concept of inclusivity and all. We've also had cases where women use the sympathy they often get as a tool. I'm talking about some women. I know there are a lot of people watching me now. They are, especially the feminists want to hear what I'm saying. But we've heard, look at the Johnny Depp issue, and Amber Heard. We've also had cases even in Nigeria where I know a young man, I think, who committed suicide because he was wrongly accused of raping a woman. We've had cases where women, mischievous women, will use this empathy they often get. In that cases, what should be done? Do we have, should we also meet the same kind of I'm not sure how to put it now. Should we frown more and make that kind of persecution on these women as well? Because I'm a woman. I might not have the physical strength as much as a man. Immediately you come out. First of all, you elicit that empathy, and then you now come about to now tell lies against men. It's quite concerning. We've seen several cases, even on the social media, and all that. So
This is actually true, because I watch my Twitter, I go through social media, and I see what is happening, especially false accusation. I think we need tighter policies, tighter law on false accusation of rape, because that can cause more damage.
Exactly.
Because when you falsely accuse somebody, it affects both his financial status, his public status, and it undermines the actual victims who really face this. Because when you falsely accuse someone, it means that you are calling that case a trash. Because do you know what it is to rape somebody and you forcefully accuse that person that it never happened, and you just say because you want something or the other, and the person refuses to give you, and you say, okay, I will punish you, and that punishment is falsely accusing that person, and the person is
tarnished, the entire image is tarnished.
Yes, that apart from death, that can cause a long-term trauma on whoever that is the victim of false accusation. So I think before people judge, before people enter into anything, they should investigate. Be sure that this is true. Be sure that this person did this, no matter who the person is.
But is it not a fine line? I mean, when you say the tightening of policies around this, we're already having issues with having women who are legitimately raped and molested or harassed.
Exactly.
Reporting it, we have first of all the issue of them being still holding back from reporting. We have those who report so long after it has happened, it's difficult to prove, and then you now say tightening it just because of these ones who would falsely accuse. So how do you draw this balance without because it's difficult to prove sometimes rape, especially when some time has elapsed, you know. So how do you draw this balance and decipher as it happens?
Okay, so I think this balance is where CSOs also come in. The advocacy shouldn't also concentrate on people that are raping, victims. It should also concentrate on accusations, wrong accusations, consequences of wrong accusations. And now, drawing that line is very important, because why? Like you explained, we have cases of people that are actually victims and still are finding it difficult who will believe me. Then we have cases of people that are not victims but looking for people who believe them, but now they are doing it wrongly. So in this case, in the law, there are consequences for those that are victims, that it actually happened. Then for those that are not victims but wrongly accusing them, there should be a penalty for them. Then we now advocate that encourage people that are victims is very important. That you should neglect the fact that there's accusation penalty, but make sure that you, as a victim, that you come out and speak out, and even though we follow to the investigation to the core. Now this is where we appeal to human conscience. This is even where we bring religion in, because you need to know that lying is not good.
Exactly.
You need to know the consequences of lying. So this is the part that we encourage people that, see, you must not do this. You must stop these accusations. It is very important for you to know the consequences, because when you keep on accusing people wrongly, they are losing their life. What is left of you? And when you are known or caught accusing people wrongly, what happens when it actually happens to you? That becomes a big problem, because nobody's going to believe you
any longer.
Yes.
You have a trail.
So people need to understand there should be more advocacy on this, so people understand that you have the absolute right to speak out, and we encourage you to speak out, but do not do it wrongly. Do not accuse somebody wrongly.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, it is all an advocacy. Do not accuse anybody wrongly. Don't even perpetrate it in the first place, and all of that. But I'd like you to give a voice to something that's trending on X right now, of a young lady who said she was begged and begged and begged, and eventually she succumbed, and in fact she found that rape. She was begged into sexual intercourse and she succumbed, and she finds it, she's all out, and she says, in fact, thinking about it now, she was violated. And a lot of it has divided the internet, really. We're seeing people, and this is what goes on. It's like the lines that define these things are very fluid, basically. So you never say, because you don't know the situation and all of that. She admits that she was not forced, it was not forceful, but she was begged until she succumbed eventually, and emotional blackmail was used, but she succumbed. So at that point, she just realized that it's some sort of rape.
Yes. So you know, in this kind of situation, why I'm laughing and why it's funny is there are two parties involved, and this is the part where you as an individual don't even know what you want. How can somebody be begging you to do something that you don't really want to do?
It's a very long story. So I will send a link to you later. I got so invested, and so I had to bring it up here. Thing is, first of all, she brought the guy to her house, and the guy had to spend the night because it was raining, and all of
Can you imagine this?
But it concerns me because these are young people who have to grow up thinking, and the lines are so fluid. Everybody comes up to accuse these days, and it's very concerning.
It's very, very concerning
for those who are indeed suffering this, and we are here trying to amplify
actual victims,
or rather survivors, you know, and we are here trying to amplify their voices and the situations that culminates to what they go through. And here we are saying, I invited him over, it was quite late, it was raining, so I didn't want him to go into the rain. And then
it's actually crazy, very crazy, because the fact that she admitted that he did not force her, that it was something that she now accepted. Because remember, rape is a very sensitive thing.
It is. It has become very sensitive.
Yes, very sensitive. And the key word that a judge or anybody will ask you was consent.
Consent given at any point.
And you accept it.
But we've also heard consent can be withdrawn. Consent can be given and then withdrawn.
So she did not withdraw it.
Well,
she now said that she started now feeling after everything that it was rape. So maybe she's feeling that it was rape because she was angry that she did it with that person.
Oh, she was angry. It's a very long story, like I said. She was angry, especially because afterwards calls were made that weren't returned, messages were sent that weren't returned. However, it has divided the internet. I think the opinions are all over, are rife. Everybody has something to say. And a lot of people who are saying something are very, I will call them extremist in opinion. They're, oh yeah, you were raped. Oh no, you weren't raped, you know. and all of that. However, somebody is suffering. You know, there's a young man who said it was quite consensual. You begged, I stopped, but it started all over again, and this happened, you know. So it becomes very fluid as to what else, what should our young men learn when you're in their relations with women. What is that line that says, you know, so in your last thoughts to people listening, because I'm sure Nigerians are wondering these days, I don't know what else to do, you know, so that I do not get into problem. What should the young man learn? What is the way?
From this.
Right.
Okay. So I think number one, I'll say it in pidgin. Day for who, day for you.
Right.
When you want to do anything with anybody, be sure that you understand this person. This is your friend or girlfriend or whoever it is. And be sure that there are no consequences attached to whatever I want to do with this person. Because sometimes we are clouded by the pleasure that we forget the consequences attached to it. And that is why you see a lot of cases of rape coming up. And be very careful with people you associate with. You cannot just meet someone in a day. Just the first time you're meeting the person, you want everything to happen immediately. Even if the person agrees, you just go on and ahead and let it happen. No! Watch the person. Be friends with the person first. Understand the person. Who are you? I am this. You are this. Few times meet with the person, and sometimes it's very important to note this. Whenever it comes to sexual relationship with someone, it is something that must be both sides.
Right.
You shouldn't beg for sex. The other part shouldn't beg for sex.
Right.
Two of you should want it. And when two of you want it, that is when you now think, oh, do we need protection? Two of you agree, oh yeah, let's use protection. It shouldn't be something that
one person was begging.
One person needs it more than the other person. So the other person is out of pity.
Right.
There are consequences attached to that.
Right.
So it should be both sides.
I'm happy you've cleared it up for us here. It should be both sides at all times. We should not have one-sided
thing.
Well, I'm hoping everybody got that. I'm hoping everybody got that because it's quite important. But this is where we round it up on Joyous on Live. Today we've been discussing the 16-day activism against gender-based violence. It's been a very interesting conversation with Ifeanyi Ofodu Raymond. He's my paddy when it comes to speaking about gender-based violence. But thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you so much for having me, and trust me, I'll keep doing my best.
I wish
we have a world that is, at least to an extent, favorable to all.
Exactly.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you again for being part of the program.
Thank you.
This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of Joyous on Live. Do have a wonderful weekend. We'll be back next week with so much more.